Views from the General's Helmet by Montana of 300. Montana of 300 continues his May 20th tradition for dropping new albums. 6 months since the release of his last project, what does Views from the General's Helmet have in store for us? Here's our honest review of Views from the General's Helmet by Montana of 300.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed that, but when I had looked at like his discography, he dropped a lot of albums on May 20th.
Did not know that.
Just seems like a thing.
Clockwork.
So he had dropped one 6 months ago, and then before that, it was May 20th. And then the joint before that, I think, was May 20th again.
He always working.
Yeah, he's always working, man. Montana 300. Just go by just Montana, man. How you feel about this album artwork, man?
I feel like it's fire, man. I like how it looks like, an art piece or whatever. And I really like the font that he chose to use on the side of it. So I thought it was pretty dope.
Yeah, the font is fire. It's like a faceless warrior, Viking, Trojan, whatever you want to call it. Well, that's probably a Trojan, right?
Trojan, Spartan, something.
Spartan, there you go. And it looks dope, man. Like you said, it looks like art because you can see the way the cape is floating, like just the kind of like fray areas around the back part of them. I mean, it's clearly a drawing, and then the font kind of just puts it over the top. It looks like a portrait because of the way the frame is posed. Yep. I like the album artwork a lot. I like Montana's album artworks. They're usually simple, but they're really dope.
Yeah.
The flow of this project, man, it kind of gave me that vibe. If you heard the joint he dropped a couple projects ago, the Dance with My AK, where it's more of a like kind of like having fun singing vibe on songs. That's the vibe I got here. I got a lot of that here, and it actually threw me off because I wasn't expecting that, but it was delightful to me because I love that song and that vibe that you get from that song. Even though all the songs don't sound like that, that's the general vibe I get. Like he sung a lot more on this project.
Yeah, it's definitely got that vibe of like, I want to say more appealing to like just regular casual listeners, I want to say. Really got that vibe where it's just like, he's just going to rap on whatever he feels like.
Highlights, man. Look, In My Bag featuring No Fatigue. Yo, when this joint came in, man, I love that pocket he was in. He straight killed it. The change up in flows, No Fatigue killed that joint, by the way. FGE Cypher Part number 9. For some reason, I thought somebody was stealing Arsenal's his tagline when he said, can't say bars without putting the arse in it. I was like, why is somebody from FGE stealing my man Arsenal's tagline? And as he started rapping, I was like, oh shit, that's Arsenal. He had some dope funny lines in there, of course. No Fatigue gave a really dope verse as well, and then Montana straight killed it as well. Tally and One Taz, I can't say his name. They had some dope lines, but overall I wasn't super impressed by their verses. Tupac is a joint that I liked immediately. I was just like, man, this joint is actually pretty hard, man. Like I liked the vibe he got into on that one, and I liked the verses on Money on Me and Snake, but I liked the verses on the songs.
Starting off with Souvenir, there's something with Montana, how he starts off every album. It's just really, really dope to me because they always start with some, like, he dropping some bars, some knowledge and everything like that. So Souvenir was really, really dope to me.
It's almost like a State of the Union personal.
Like
personal
to every
thoughts.
Project. Yeah. So I think that's really dope. In My Bag, I gotta agree. Both of them on that was really dope. I really enjoyed Wavy. I thought Wavy was pretty cool. The Cypher, I thought that No Fatigue really brought it. Arsenal killed it. And even though I didn't like how Montana started his verse, I did like how he ended it, even if it only like eruptedly, but it was still dope. I definitely agree with you on Money on Me. I like the verses. And I think it was Snakes. I like the verses on Snake as well.
Lowlights, man. Look, on Monster, I wasn't a fan of the beat, and I wasn't a fan of the hook. On Money on Me, I wasn't a fan of the hook. And the FGE Cypher, I felt the beat was just too general. Like, there was nothing to it. Like, I get it, when you're doing a cypher, sometimes you just want that. But it could have pushed the song, like, way up to
Yes.
another level
Yeah.
if the beat was a little bit harder. But I mean, other than that's pretty much it. I can't say anything negative about Montana's lyrics because he didn't slouch at all on this joint. He was going in on this joint. Had some Forrest Gump lines because that's what I found funny about the whole Lieutenant Dan thing. There was a lot of really witty stuff that he said in his bars, and when you listen to it, you'll be cracking up with some of the stuff because I was just laughing. Get a couple video game references, Blanca, E Honda, like he was doing his thing on the lyrical tip.
Yeah, and I'm glad you say that because my lowlights of this project would just have to be the production, because it's just like I feel everything when Montana's rapping. I'm feeling everything. I'm getting all the bars and everything. But the thing I was kind of getting bored with was just the production on this project. And I feel like, because I went back and skimmed through Pray to the Devil. I forgot the rest of the album. But I'm spinning that album, and I like what I love.
The album artwork was fire.
The album was fire. The album was fire. But what I liked about that album was like the production balanced with his energy as an artist and his vocals. And I didn't feel like I got that on here. But I still went back to listen to it again, and I just feel like I feel like I'm more paying attention to him than the production. And I know the production usually you shouldn't really think about that, but in this case, it kind of just brought down the mood for me. Like when you said about the cipher, it could have used a little bit maybe some variety to the beat. I know it's a cipher. When it's a cipher, everybody just straight rapping for bars, bar for bars. But it could have added a little bit of flavor to it to make it stand out a little bit more. And that's what I feel like some of the tracks that I didn't mention could have used. Like Money on Me, I wasn't a big fan of the beat. Snakes, I wasn't a big fan of the beat either. So it's just some things like that.
Final thoughts, man. Look, I think Montana is definitely underrated as an MC. He's really dope in that category. Nobody could take that away from him. I felt like the beat choices here were a little bit less quality beats than the beats that we had on There's a Gun in the Teacher's Desk and the Devil joint.
Pray to the Devil. Yeah.
Pray to the Devil. So I'd like to see him pick better beats as well. But when it comes to the flow, man, he got it. Like the way he changes up his flows, his attack is always on point and stellar. I will point out, I forgot to mention it in the FGE cipher. I didn't like the way he ended the verse. It kind of just sounded like it was abrupt. It didn't kind of sound like a closure of a verse. And when I look at stuff to compare it to, I think of like Fantastic Four Part 1, 2, DMX, DXL with the Locks, Jadakiss, and like songs like that, Big Posse Cuts, John Blaze. Like when people say they last rhymes, it's supposed to be like the stamp at the end of the song, and it just felt like it just ended. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need a little bit of echo on that last
Did
bar.
you like how it ended with Suicide Squad?
It was okay.
Yeah,
it was okay. But like I said, like I felt like No Fatigue showed up on this project, and Montana.
I feel like we say that a lot about No Fatigue.
and then Montana killed it at the end of it too. So it's just one of those things. I want him to keep going. I want him to keep doing what he's doing. I just need just a little bit extra better beats because I want him to blow up because he really has something that I think if other people heard his music, they would like it. Because I was letting people at work hear it, and they're just like, yo, who is this again? And they would download the music like, yo, this joint is hard.
I think what part it is to that is that he has a real compassion when it comes to his art and his music. And I think that's what people are going to gravitate to a lot. Even if they may not feel the production like myself, you're always going to feel his bars. You always going to be like, man, what did he just say? Oh, damn, that was dope. So I think he has that certain spark that where he's like, oh, this guy, he's a spitter. He can spit bars and everything like that. And that you can never take away from him. But for this album, kind of like Dame was saying, I just wanted him to pick a little bit more like beats to be accustomed to his style. Maybe try to go out of the box a little bit to what he's used to and work with some other producers, something like that, because I think he can be a force to be reckoned with.
Final grade, man. Look, I'm going to give it a check. Probably on the lower end of checks. His lyrical ability just kind of overshadows the bad production. Like he basically commands your attention and over some of the bad production. Like when you get songs like In My Bag, like that's what I'm talking about. I need songs like that where the production just meets the lyrical content in it, and it's both hard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And if he could just keep nailing joints like that with the beats, the hooks, everything's tight in that song, I think a lot more people will start paying attention to Montana at 300. The radio definitely needs to show him some love because some of these songs, especially in Atlanta, like people in Atlanta will love these tracks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a dash only because not that I feel like the production was like overly bad, but it just was kind of like repetitive in some areas and it didn't elevate his already powerful voice. And I just think, he already there. He just needs some more, so shout out to Montana.